The race for dominance in the automobile industry, specifically in the area of self-driving cars, continues. Recently, a Russian bank called SberBank, spelled SberBank, which also owns a subsidiary company, which is a tech company called SberAutoTech, spelled SberAuto as the Cyber Auto, then Tech. They just unveiled a prototype and gave a live showcase of their new vehicle that can carry up to 6 passengers at a time. This goes without saying. Elon Musk as well as Google have been in a race. In addition to that, other car companies have been doing all that they can to win that race to take self-driving to the next level. There have been few accidents. Even Amazon is in the race and is using it for deliveries. I know a company in LA was once testing making deliveries with robots that use self-driving technology. The reality of the matter is that as it keeps on getting worked on and the understanding of the topography that it travels keeps on getting acclimatized to the algorithms and the programmings, it will actually become near perfect. And naturally, the company that has dominance would make a lot of money. If all companies play their cards right and minimize their spendings and how much they spend on research, they would actually do well. However, the reality of the matter is that it appears no one company or individual owns the patents for self-driving technology. So it is not like a Bill Gates scenario or a special scenario where one person has a patent for a revolutionary technology, and as everybody uses it, the owner of that patent makes a lot of money, or the company that owns the patent makes a lot of money. This seems to be not the case. However, I'm sure that certain things that are developed by individual companies, when it comes to the technology behind the self-driving technology, most of those things will be patents to several of the companies that are in the race. And naturally, as it always happens, like it happened with Samsung and Apple, when Samsung was stealing some of the protected properties of Apple, and Apple was stealing some of the protected properties and patents of Samsung, and they kept suing each other back and forth. I'm guessing that kind of thing might happen again, because there is no way that some companies with some specific patents on how to best carry out self-driving technology would find themselves in a position where other companies wouldn't copy them to make a profit. And of course, it will result in suing. And most of this will probably go back and forth. It creates a very interesting scenario. And it makes you wonder, when it comes to investing, who is the best person to invest in? You have to understand, as an investor, you have to be rational. A lot of people, especially in this day and age, they invest with their emotions. And as a matter of fact, they turn investing into gambling. Investing becomes gambling when you are guessing. investing becomes gambling when the likelihood of the turnout, the probability of a positive turnout is low or unpredictable. That is now gambling, even though it is in the world of investing. And in this day and age, especially with young people getting into investing or the world of investing, thanks to the outcome of years of financial education and books like Rich Dad Poor Dad and similar books that have made people get used to phrases like make your money work for you and don't work for money. Thanks to things like that and a lot of teaching on the importance of investing, young people, a lot of them invest, but unfortunately, they do not read enough or understand enough about the world of investing. And the reality of the matter is that majority of the people who are writing books on investing don't know anything about investing. Most of the most confused people on the topic of investing, as a matter of fact, are those who work on Wall Street. There are so many things that are so wrong with what they say. And another thing about investing is that, and the world of investing, different people have different systems. Warren Buffett's beliefs and system, for example, forbids him from investing in Microsoft. Let us say everybody in the world thought like Warren Buffett. Nobody would have ever invested in Microsoft. Nobody would have ever invested in Tesla. Nobody would have ever invested in a lot of revolutionary companies that made a lot of money. Even till today, for example, Warren Buffett wants nothing to do with crypto. But you have to understand, in spite of the fact that these things he refuses to touch and making a lot of money, understand that everybody has their own system, but reality remains the same. You have to understand the markets and what system you are using. What kind of investor are you? Are you a value investor or a momentum investor? A momentum investor, when unchecked, actually is in the world of speculation. You know, a lot of people are speculative investors, and that is actually gambling. And for example, Warren Buffett's style of investing doesn't go with day trading. You cannot be a day trader. In other words, you cannot even have a job on Wall Street and say that you're a Buffettologist or you follow Warren Buffett, because Warren Buffett does not invest in that manner. He waits for the best opportunity. He doesn't mind waiting a year, 2 years, 12 years, but he waits for the opportunity for a great company to sell at a price that is lower than what he values it currently to be, not what he predicts its future value will be. So this is just a glimpse of his own system, but a lot of people don't do that. You know, over years, people have developed different types of systems that have worked for them. And in spite of the fact that there have been booms and busts, there are people who know what they are doing. For example, during the first .com crash, a lot of people made a lot of money. Why? Because they knew what they were doing. So many people lost money. A lot of people lost money. But they were sophisticated investors whose system is carried out in a way that their investment strategy is an in and out strategy, and it is well protected. There are different avenues to this, and your understanding of what system you follow matters. You have to understand your system, and it could be a system that is passed down from you, or something that you learned from someone. Like if you want to follow Warren Buffett's system, or if you want to follow a different system, you know, Peter Lynch's system, for example, is quite different from Warren Buffett's system. Follow the system that you understand and that works for you, and do not compromise, because there is a guaranteed failure that often happens when you have the mindset of one type of investor and try to invest in a different style that is against your personal beliefs. You will not have the mental capacity to make the right choices, and you will probably end up being afraid and then making the wrong investment move, and you will lose a lot of money. So when it comes to this situation with self-driving cars, you have to be practical. You have to look at the CEO, and this is the system that I'm using, that I'm giving you from. Some of you will just want to look at a stock price. Is it going up and jump on it? And then if you hedge your investments properly, you will jump off by putting stop limits, that would ensure that if the stock price goes below a certain price, it is automatically sold. So you would still make a profit depending on where your stock limit is. So these are different strategies. But if you want to do that style of momentum investing, okay, but based on the style of investing that I do, which is value investing, but is based on facts and something solid, something concrete, which would actually give you peace of mind. You have to look at all the available players, and you have to look at which of these companies is a monopoly, which of them is closest to being a monopoly, and why. Which of this company has the most resources? Which of these companies has the best marketing? Which of these companies has the lowest costs when it comes to putting out cars out there? Which of these companies have a good brand image? So these are the kind of things that you have to look at, and then you will make the right choice. You pick the best one when the price of the share is undervalued. If the price is overvalued, there's no point in buying it. Never buy a stock that is overvalued. When the price is undervalued, especially when there is bad news or something negative happens, investors will begin to sell. That sell, thanks to the laws of demand and supply, that selling by many investors will make the price of the stock go down. That is when you buy, and you don't have to watch the stock every day. You can also put a buy limit that when the stock price gets to this particular number, when the price gets to this point, that is when it will buy for you automatically. It's an automated thing. So you don't have to be looking at the stock every day or every minute or every second. And when you do that, you will actually find yourself in a place where you actually make quite a good deal of money from this new move of self-driving cars. It is very important that you take all these factors into consideration. Now, as Christians, it is important that we are wise. If we are not wise, who else is going to be wise? We need to ensure that we take advantage of such situations, as well as ask ourselves, how can we go from just being an investor to being a participator, having a company that has its hands in the markets. For example, when you look at electric cars, a lot of companies are going that way. But what about the batteries that those cars use? Oftentimes, they are outsourced. It's a different company. And you will be amazed to know that it is the same company that makes battery for Tesla, that makes batteries for the electric cars of other companies. So, it is actually more profitable to invest there. And the interesting thing is that most of those companies do not even have a very popular name or a very popular brand. It does not have that recognition. You also can ask yourself, how can I start one of those companies, that makes things easier? So you're creating a B2B business, a business to business business, a business that makes products for businesses. How can you make batteries for electric cars or for solar cars? How can you make certain underlying elements of the technology and sprockets and gadgets that will go into the self-driving cars? And when you offer these things to the major companies at high quality and at a cheaper price, you have an advantage. And that is what China does. China is making a lot of money because a lot of American companies are believing the lie that we are moving into the information age, and they are pushing people into aspiring to be musicians, to be influencers, things that don't require making physical things, to be celebrities, to be actors. That is where a lot of people are being pushed. There are a lot of people in America who are computer programmers. But what about the people who make the hardware? America has gone away from that, and China has taken it up. And as China has taken up the hardware, the software is also easy. They also have that push for software within China. So you can see how basically manufacturing shifts. And since America has a lot of woke ideologies and the AOCs and a lot of, let us increase the minimum wage. Let us see if every employee can earn as much as the CEO. Let us keep taxing the CEO to make sure the CEO is as poor as the workers, and let us see if we can boost up the workers. So what that does is it creates a situation where the company cannot afford to have a lot of workers, and it is cheaper and best for the company to outsource. So where does it outsource to? It outsources to China, and it creates a funny situation because the Americans are complaining that work conditions are not good for American workers. So, and their complaints is making situations be structured in such a way that the companies in America have to outsource. And where are they outsourcing from? China, where the labor is, the labor conditions for the workers is terrible, and a lot of people may consider it slave labor. There was years back where Chinese employees were committing suicide, and when it comes to employee suicide, China was the highest in the world. Just a few years back, employees were committing suicide because that was how the work was so stressful on the workers. Yet the Americans are there giving themselves awards, and the companies are virtue signaling and saying, look at how well we treat our workers. But they are outsourcing with Chinese companies who are treating their employees in such a way that the employees are committing suicide. In any case, these are just things you have to know. And at the end of the day, when you invest rightly, and also with the goal of acquiring power, because when you control the companies, when you control industries, when Christians become captains of industries, that is when we can cause change. Look at the damage that one Bill Gates did to the world, and look at how he has gotten away with it. Now, after years of criticizing, actually 1 year, that was just last year, and part of this year, criticizing President Trump and anybody who supported him about the origins of the virus, and saying that there is no way that it was man-made from a lab. Now the left-wing media has turned around and have done a 180, and Facebook has now announced they are no longer going to censor people who say that the virus may have come from a lab, in China. So this is very interesting. When Trump was there, it was like, that Trump was xenophobic. He was using it to inspire anti-Asian hatred and all of that, and he was calling it the China virus and all of that. But all of a sudden now, things have turned around. It's very funny. But the power to get away with that, and imagine the good that happened with America just because one billionaire named Donald Trump did, stepped up. But the problem is that Donald Trump was going up against several billionaires that were against him, several globally, several owners of CNN. If the owners of CNN, MSNBC gave a fair review of President Trump's performance, if they were not anti-Trump 24/7, 365, President Trump would have had close to a 90 or I would say an 80%, positive rating. And, the love for him and, the way that people would have voted for him, in the previous election would have been way far more, than what it was. We know the real results of the election, and we know that Biden is kidding himself if he thinks, that things led to him being in the White House legally, But just imagine that power, the power to actually turn an election. It is the same thing with countries like Nigeria. How many times over and over again has elections been bought in Nigeria? It is a matter of money. You see, people voting, what is the point of voting when at the end of the day, it is who has the most money that will do what they do at the end of the day? I know there are people that say, if your vote does not matter, why do politicians pay people to vote, or why do they always advertise and do all that? The reason is because it is advisable to attack from both sides when you have the advantage. But you see, just because somebody is attacking from the left doesn't mean they do not have an army on the right advancing to attack also. An attack from one corner does not mean that there is no attack from the other corner. The fact that they are bribing people to vote and they are manipulating and they want youth to vote in this direction and they are paying you, they are doing all kinds of media manipulation, that doesn't mean that they are not also paying election officials to buy the election. It actually looks more legitimate that way, because if it looks close, and in addition to the race being close, somebody also buys the counting of the outcome, that now looks more legitimate and difficult to prove that there was any sort of fraud. So these are things that you have to think about and realize. It is very important for Christians to consciously go after money, not for selfish reasons, but as a tool. This is what I need. I need this money and power for me to effectively change the world. I need to take it to save lives. What justifies or condemns you is your motive. Has money become your God? Or are you going after all these positions of power, and are you going for the money for the purpose of changing the world? Because you cannot do it without these positions. Like I said, imagine Bill Gates. Look at the damage he did with the lockdowns, and nobody has stood up to question him that how come he has now bought so much land in America. Majority of the farmlands in America is now owned by Bill Gates. He's now the largest farmer in America. Whatever he chooses to put in the food is what everybody will eat. If he wants to put vaccines in the food, that is what everybody will eat. Whatever he wants to put, if he wants to put his urine in the food, that is what everybody will eat in America. That is power. And you have to be wise and realize these things. You see, so we must go after it, and we must consciously get power for the purpose of doing good and saving people. Understand that everything we get here, we will leave it here. Nobody is taking all the money that you make or all the power that you acquire to the other side. At the other side, all that matters for the majority of your existence is what did you do with Jesus when you were on earth? Understand that your life on earth is short and life continues after death. The real you is a spirit. Your body is just the clothes for your spirit, for your spirit to function in this physical world and in this physical dimension. You need a body, and that is why even demons, for them to effectively function, they need a human body or the body of an animal to enter. Like the devil, Satan entered the serpents, and you remember when Jesus cast out demons from the madman, where did the demons say they want to go? Send us into the pigs. So yes, demons enter animals. So, I will perhaps talk about it another day. You should be careful what animals you entertain, and also know that you can make declarations over your pets. The same way you cast out demons, so you make declarations, let your influence and your protection also extend over them, because they could be an avenue for a devil to be around you and you not know it. Thank you, and God bless you. God bless you.